The plant inside the white picket fence is boxwood. Boxwood is a slow-growing evergreen that is most often used to make musical instruments and chess pieces. Did you know this little plant can live for centuries? The boxwood next to you has grown on that spot for a very long time. It was here when Dr. and Mrs. DeButts lived on this land. These boxwoods truly are a doorway to the past. Born in 1756, Samuel DeButts was a native of Ireland. After finishing college, he moved to England and began a career as a doctor. In England, he met and courted Mary Welby.
Samuel DeButts of the parish of Grantham in the county of Lincoln and Mary Welby of this parish were married in this church by license this 17th day of October in the year of our Lord, 1785, by me, W.M. Easton, rector of Croxby.
Writing of the fine occasion, another commented on the mood of the local squire.
I am very glad to hear that the Squire of Denton put on his best wig on your wedding day.
Soon afterward, in 1786, Mary's relatives wrote,
Mrs. DeButts was brought to bed last Monday at 5 o'clock in the morning of a fine little girl, which I have not yet seen, but here it is very like the doctor.
The family began to take shape. Samuel and Mary had more children. However, not all of them survived. Only two, Richard and Mary Ann, were living by 1791, when the DeButts faced a difficult decision. Since the doctor's medical practice was struggling, should they move to America to try and find a better life? Samuel's brother, John, was already in America. John encouraged the move across the treacherous ocean.
Sell every property in England and Ireland. Lodge your money as securely as possible in London, subject to your drafts at 30 days' sight. Perhaps it might besides bring you some interest there. Come out in a stout British merchant ship bound for either Baltimore or any other port within the Chesapeake Bay, but prefer Baltimore. Be at as little expense as in outfit as you can. I mean with regard to superfluous clothes and furniture. Sail either from London, Liverpool, Whitehaven, or Bristol, and make as good a bargain with the captain of the ship as you can for your passage. Let him find sea stores except for small matters for yourselves and the children. If you find your own stores, the sailors will assuredly pillage you on the voyage. When at Baltimore, your family, self, and luggage may readily procure at Patuxent boat to convey you to my house, where the most hearty welcome will await you all. I will advise you to sail in May, June, or July. When you do, these are the most agreeable months for young sailors.
The New World was a very different place from the Old World. John DeButts, determined to get Samuel and Mary to immigrate, used vivid imagery to answer their every question in an attempt to convince them.
The crops of tobacco, wheat, corn, flax, and cotton enables the beginning not only liberally to supply his family, but to send considerable quantities to market. Almost every plantation abounds with apples, peaches, and cherries. Our woods and fields abound with partridges, squirrels, opossum, raccoon, and other game such as pheasants, woodcocks, snipes, and some wild turkeys. But the latter are now rarely to be met, besides a variety of other birds and beasts for us in entertainment. The water yields us plenty with various kinds of fish, oysters, crabs, etc., and in the winter great numbers of swan, wild geese, and ducks. In this description, I confine myself to my own neighborhood. The back country affords a variety of animals which I have not mentioned, and there is venison is their cheapest meat.
Samuel, Mary, and their two children decided to move to America in 1791. The journey was fraught with peril. There were many disasters attendant on so rash a step as crossing the Atlantic, especially with young children. They survived the trip and landed in America, where another child, John Henry, was born in Maryland. Both Samuel and Mary inherited some wealth from their families, and as such were in a better situation than others. After a few years, Dr. de Butts purchased the property on which you stand. Around this time, the white farmhouse ahead of you was built. The area and the home were named Mount Welby, in honor of Mary's family, the Welbys. Samuel worked as a doctor, but supplemented his income by farming this land. Everyday life was a challenge, and for some, tragedy struck without warning.
A most dreadful epidemic has raged here during the whole winter. It is melancholy to see the devastation it has made in various counties. Whole families have been swept away.
Mount Welby was not immune. On December 11th, 1814, tragedy hit these hills.
Your poor sister is a widow. We had, as usual, spent the months of September and October with our daughter in Loudon, and Dr. de Butts seemed perfectly well on his return, but soon after was attacked by a disorder he called angina pectoris. It was not more than a week that he was confined to his room, but not his bed. He seemed perfectly sensible that his end was approaching, but I believe did not apprehend that it was so nigh. We had supped together, and he prepared to go to bed, felt faint, and sat down on a chair at the end of the bed. I perceived that he was falling and caught him in my arms, where he expired in a moment without a struggle. Oh, my sister, how shall I express to you my feelings at that awful moment? But it pleased the Almighty to support and give me fortitude to sustain the shock. Never can I cease to lament the loss of the kindest, best of men, but his blessed will be done, whose all-wise dispensation it is our duty to submit to with humble resignation. I know that I have your tenderest sympathy, and that you will remember with affectionate regret a friend whose admirable character must ever render his memory dear to those relatives he has left behind.
Mary Welby de Butts lived 14 more years. She passed away in 1828, still calling Mount Welby home. Both Dr. and Mrs. de Butts are believed to be buried on these grounds, though the exact burial site remains unknown.
I, Mary de Butts, give and divide to my son John Henry de Butts and his heirs forever the farm purchased by my late husband of Nicholas Lingen, on which I most reside, called Mount Welby. With respect to my personal estate, I give and bequeath to my son John Henry de Butts all my slaves, stock, farming utensils, furniture, linens, and books, and keep every stand in my house.
Mount Welby remained in the hands of the de Butts family until 1843. For nearly half a century, Mount Welby was the home to several generations of the de Butts family. Proceed now to the next marker on the river side of the white farmhouse.